meeting to order.
Okay.
And did everybody have a chance to read the minutes? And can I entertain a motion for changes or approval?
I'll move that we approve.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I guess we're all in favor.
I didn't get that.
Oh,
Oh, it never came in your email? You never got the meeting invitation?
Yesterday.
It didn't come yesterday on Tuesday? It came Tuesday.
would you like to read?
Quick overview. Sure.
We can come back and vote.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
I have to look at the front side though, because to see what's next. No public here to discuss anything.
I can just hop into
Oh.
operational overview and
Okay.
then come back to
Okay.
to approve the minutes.
Some guy I talked to, wanted to know, he liked, the, dining, the dining room,
Dining room.
the lunches.
Oh, he wants to know if we're having lunches again in the assembly
Yeah.
room? Okay, I can talk about that just briefly. So the senior center never were the providers of those lunches. They were always something that was provided by Meals on Wheels. And then when the senior center first opened in the 80s, Meals on Wheels was actually housed in the senior center, and they used the kitchen to produce all their meals and also to provide lunches for congregate meals is what we call it. Over time, probably about 5 or 6 years before I started, so maybe 12 years ago, approximately, I could be wrong. The field is right, about 12 years ago. They decided to move off site to another location, but still continued to come back and provide lunch. When COVID hit, they had some changes over there. They, Elder Services, which is where Meals on Wheels was coming out of, was purchased or was absorbed by an organization called Horizons, and Horizons were bringing over at one point frozen meals and warming them up in the microwave because they weren't using the steam table anymore to provide hot meals. Over time, that number got down to about maybe 6 people, and it made more sense for them to just go ahead and just take meals to those folks versus having them here at the senior center. And so then that was kind of concluded. And so that was kind of the end of that. And they decided that they wouldn't provide congregate meals here at the senior center. So that's why we don't have them. So that was never our choice. But that was something that came down from Horizons. They decided that they no longer provided lunches here. My hope along the way is once we get our kitchen going, that maybe we get a small crew. And I hope in my dreams that we open a little cafe called Cafe 28, which is, of the senior center, that we can have some folks maybe here, make sandwiches and some soups and maybe some salads. Is something that we can provide as people can purchase here over the lunch hour. But that's way down the line because we have to get the kitchen renovated first. So we probably won't have
like
lunches
that.
for a while. Yeah, it's just something I wrote on the wall not in my bathroom, on a piece of paper that I wrote when I first started here. And so it hasn't come to fruition yet, but I still have hope for it. So, but that's how I hope to reintegrate lunches back into the senior center. I've seen it done in other senior centers, and so I'm hoping that we can do something like that. But it might be a little bit.
So
I
what is
would
needed?
make one suggestion.
Sure.
Rather than Cafe 28, call it Cafe 50.
Oh, I see what you mean. I just only use the 28 because our address is 28 South.
Oh,
Yeah, that's all. And like I said, it was a dream. It's not thought out. Nobody has any plans around it. This is something I was writing on paper, like, oh, that'd be a cool name, and we could, So it doesn't exist, but in my head as a director of the center is a way that I'm thinking of how we could have our own crew of people who learn how to prepare those meals and be able to do it in a public health safe way that we can provide that down the line once the kitchen is renovated. So, and that's going to be a while, but it is on the list.
So like a volunteer type activity?
Yeah, kind of volunteer. It'll be a little way for us to have some revenue.
What's it gonna take to renovate the kitchen?
Oh, that's probably close to $1 million to
Really?
renovate it. Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit, but we began looking at interior design at the top of 2025. We can't break into construction to start doing interior projects until 2026. So we will. It's in the works, but it's down the line because we have to have somebody come in and design it for us, and we have to look at a lot of other pieces in the building, like our heating and our plumbing and stuff like that are going to probably have higher priorities when we start working on interior pieces, only because those are our immediate needs versus the kitchen has been kind of defunct for a long time. But I'm hoping that it comes on that list at some point. But once we get there, once we get to that part, we definitely will be able to kind of talk about that. I don't have answers to that exactly right now, but I can tell you approximate price point. But this was a couple years ago with inflation. I don't know what that number looks like now, but
Oh, it'll probably reduced, you know.
I don't know about reduced. But I just think that the price of doing business obviously goes up every time. But it is a hope, and we do have a master plan that's out there that does have the kitchen as being renovated as a classroom space for cooking and nutrition and stuff like that, as well as the opportunity to maybe have something a little bit cafe style for public and for our seniors here to be able to come get a sandwich or something like that. So that's down the line. We haven't gotten there yet, but there is hope that we get there. I know that's a very, very long answer to why is there no lunches in the senior center? But I wanted to plant a seed of hope that it will come back at some point, but it'll be a little bit.
I think it would be very popular.
I think so too, especially if you have your friends in the kitchen making your lunch. I think that could be a really positive thing.
Is there another community kitchen in the city somewhere?
No. Can we get your name? Just because it's recorded and it's going out to
Okay.
public.
Yeah, but
My name is Cynthia Dietz, Dietz.
Okay. Are you
And-
coming in as a public? Or
Yeah,
coming in as
I
public?
wanted to offer an idea.
Okay. I'm not sure how to do that.
we back
Chris.
up.
That's up to your discretion because we did
Yeah.
pass that.
Let's go to minutes.
Let's do minutes, and if you want to go back to
Okay.
public discussion, you can.
Then we'll circle back around to you.
Sure.
All right, you had a chance to read the minutes.
Yeah.
Do you approve?
Sure.
Okay, so I think it's unanimous on that.
Okay.
Okay, and so we have a guest, and would you introduce yourself and tell us?
I'm a fairly new resident of Iowa City, 2.5 years.
And what's your name?
Cynthia Dietz,
Cynthia?
Dietz, as in zebra.
Okay,
And I'm a former GIS librarian from the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, and previously to that, Stony Brook University in Long Island. And I'm kind of, when you're a senior, they tell you one of the ways to thrive is to do something that really engages you. So I haven't gotten a job as a GIS analyst or anything here. So I thought, well, maybe I ought to volunteer. So I called up the University of Northern Iowa and I spoke to somebody and I said, I would like to help out in some way. Can you tell me if you have projects where I could help out? And they said, well, we are doing an atlas, a state atlas for K through 12. I said, I'd love to work on that project. I've had quite a bit of success putting together programs, like in when I was at Manitoba in Winnipeg. Somebody from Waterloo told me that I put on the best GIS day in the whole continent. That was nice. So I want to make them, well, they told me, before we really go ahead with you, we want you to make a map, an online map of exploring Iowa City. So I'm here in Iowa City because I have nieces and a great niece, 2 great nieces and a grandnephew from 1 to 6. I would love for them I would love to take them outdoors. And one of the things I would love to do is to take them fishing on the Iowa River. I've seen rainbow trouts that long. And the deal is, I don't really know experts in Iowa City have knowing about fishing. I happen to have a cousin who's a world-renowned fisherman. But there are all sorts of opportunities in Iowa City that I would like to make known to people in my map.
Okay.
And I was thinking that there are a lot of seniors who probably would be interested in contributing. Maybe they have more time than other people, and they may have a long history in Iowa City. So that's what I'm here for. Is there a way for me to reach out to people who might be able to help out with this map? Ideas for the map.
So Latasha's our director, coordinator. We also have a volunteer specialist, Emily, who has an office right around the corner here. And so she's the one that, when folks want to volunteer, she'll set up a time with you to talk about things. And then we have a program specialist. If you would like to offer, maybe think about, I would suggest talking to Emily first. That's my suggestion anyway. I don't know what you would say.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. It's a cool opportunity. It might be something that would be great as like a social connection activity where people can get together and talk about cool places in Iowa City, and maybe you can gather some information, or it could be a one-time class or one-time event where people come together to talk about mapping your favorite places in Iowa City, and then you could take those coordinates and do something with it.
Right.
Starting with Emily would be great, just kind of explaining to her what you're interested in doing would be a great way. And then it could be that she collabs with Michelle and actually creates a program to make that happen. And so she's down at the front desk right now, I believe. And so she may be able to give
Emily
some.
is?
Yeah, she's covering for Kristen right now, so she may be able to be. You're welcome to to sit in. This is just our senior center commission meeting, and so we just kind of talk a little bit more higher level about the different things going on with the senior center, as well as some programming things. But this sounds like something that could be
Sounds
really
great.
fun.
Yeah.
It could be really great to do. So we can get you that information. We only have a couple more agenda items, and then I can get you all that information if you want.
Great.
Okay?
And did you pick up a copy of our program guide? There's a brochure. It's out.
Have you been to the senior center before?
I have been a member, and then I renewed today.
Okay.
And
Okay.
right now, I'm exploring books in the public library
Okay.
that might be able to guide me.
Sure. Great.
There might be walking routes. There might be bus trips.
Yeah,
for people.
there's all of
There's a
those
whole
amazing
sorts of
things.
things.
And I'm pretty sure if you check with Johnson County and look on their website, they can talk to you about fishing and how to get your license here in Iowa. I think the person director over there, his name is Brad Friedoff, and I've worked with him a long time before I worked here at the city. And he could be very helpful in talking about like Kent Park and some of our natural spaces out in county, and then maybe reaching out to the different cities, looking at their websites. They could probably give you that information as well, and checking in with the Visitors Bureau. The Iowa City Coralville Visitors Bureau may also be very helpful in pinpointing. I'm pretty sure they have some of that stuff already. If you go to the Visitors Bureau in Coralville, I think it's on First Avenue, and they would probably already have a map that can show you the cool places that people already go. And maybe it's just not on a GIS, but it might just more of a visual map. And if you layer that with parks and all those things, or it may already exist, and then it might be something really cool that you pull together as well.
Well, it could exist, but
But I understand you're doing it as a project. It's not something you're specifically submitting to.
I'm doing it as a project, and it would be great if it was used, but it would also be neat if it gave me a bigger entry into helping with the state atlas.
Sure.
And the university's probably another venue to research. I don't know
Their
exactly.
website,
but
yeah.
I know years ago my son taught rhetoric at the university, and he also was instrumental in getting. They have like a digital learning lab at the university library, and he had students using Google Maps to locate stories so
Yeah.
that they would have a point on the map and that point would have a story around it.
Yeah,
And so that,
that's all doable, and I know that U of I has, they handle the archives fairly well. I worked for a short time for the state archives here on the, but they also have a lot of records. There's,
So,
there are huge opportunities, I think.
I'll ask
But for
Mary.
as far as the fishing, I need someone like a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Or someone to be ready to say, hey, look, if there's a group of people interested in fishing, they could go out with this person, right?
Yeah.
I know there's fish in the river here, but you're not supposed to eat them. I mean, that's
That
what
part,
I've
yeah.
heard.
That's true.
Because of the agricultural pollution and all of that.
Well, I've talked to fishermen and they say they do eat them.
Yeah.
But there's also been a warning just this week that there may be 20 more rivers in Iowa that they want to designate contaminated.
Oh,
And, I mean, so the water business,
It's a
the
water
pollution
quality,
is a,
right.
is a big
Always
problem.
go north.
Yeah.
Northeast, the upper Iowa
Yeah,
River,
upper,
the Colgan River, whatever.
Okay,
Well,
thank you so
for
much.
coming,
Yeah.
And we hope you get, find a good role here, and we hope you sign up for some of the activities as well, and
Oh, yeah.
use the
but
fitness
just-
center and whatnot.
Yeah, I just want to mention, the person in the state, well, there's someone in Iowa State who's evidently in charge of this whole state atlas. So I would be working with her.
Cool. And will it be, it'll be a digital thing,
Yeah, and we'll probably use Esri software, which is ArcGIS or
Esri, that's the
ESRI.
gold standard for GIS, right? Okay.
Yep.
Good, good. Thank you.
Do you want me to finish the update or we can go?
I guess
to
that's
the-
next.
I could skip through some of the things just for time purposes. As for a facility update, we hired 3 new people for nights and weekends, so we're really excited about bringing them on. They've already started and will be here, and we are hoping to have someone new starting in our PM position at the receptionist desk, hopefully the first week of December. Fingers crossed there that everything goes smoothly. We needed to. And I think that would be really great to be able to have someone help us out there. Other than that, all the other staff were still here. We're still hanging on. As for the building, I just got a timeline just maybe an hour ago, just kind of looking at what the upcoming windows and doors project will look like in the spring and summer. As you all know, that we are getting all new doors and windows to finish and complete our exterior project. So as those dates and things come up, I'll let you all know. But we hope to get that moving along smoothly as possible so we can get those new windows and doors. And it's going to be so great because they're going to paint the front of the doors out front, because you know how they have that kind of falling off. It's going to be painted and looking new. We're going to look shiny like a new penny.
Paint 'em
So,
red.
yeah, I don't know about red, but
Are they gonna put new troubling buttons on that door?
the front door?
It's on them. It's so tiny.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
talking about, oh, yeah. That definitely is part of our interior, our interior plan. We're just wrapping up that exterior, but at the same time, we'll start talking about what we need to do in the interior. So it'll be a little bit of an overlap until that project wraps, but you know.
May I suggest that there be a way that we could wave and it will open up rather than push a button?
That is a possibility. When we get to that, hold on to that thought, because I might not remember it, okay? I'm about to go into be turkeyitis here. I might forget. So, but yes, I think that could be great if we could be able to do something. We have to be careful with that because, you know, sometimes people just waving in general, the door coming and going. But yeah, I think that could be a great way. That could be great for folks to not have to touch anything. If we have like no contact things around here, that'd be great. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. So one thing I wanted to talk about is that we want to have a discussion about code of conduct and our locker policy. So it's a discussion. We're not actually changing anything at this point, but had a meeting with staff today. And as you all know, the senior center has become very popular, which we want, right? We want it to be very popular, but we're also seeing and dealing with some different conduct issues that we haven't had to deal with in the past, or we have dealt with in the past, but they have been more easier to deal with because it was smaller populations of people or one or two people that were having some different conduct things going on. Unfortunately, that number of folks that were having to deal with more conduct things has increased. We need the ability to, in our policies, to be able to really be able to show people like this is our policy and this behavior is not acceptable. We really want to be really clear with things about alcohol usage. We want to be clear about, to be honest, I've had to contact law enforcement a lot more in the last month than I have in all my years here, with just some safety issues. And so really just want to clean up our code of conduct and be really clear about certain behaviors that we're seeing, whether that's it's just some things that I think that we are trying to be more thoughtful about how that's Emily, yeah.
Okay.
And about how things are going on. So anyways, we'll have some language. We're working on some language, and so at our next meeting, we'll have some language that we want you all to look at. We're just trying to do the best we can so that we can make sure that we keep things safe and that we keep things clean and people working together as a community here in our building. And so we will have some specific language. We've also been reaching and getting some other code of conduct information and language from other senior centers around the country to help us to better adjust to some of the things that we're seeing here at the senior center. So
I've noticed things that are happening outside the main entrance door that
yes,
I said, well, it seems to be under control somewhat, but very concerned.
yeah. So we definitely have some language in there about senior center property, as well as like that's some language that hasn't been in there, is to be really clear about not just inside the senior center, but also out here on our property about some behaviors and different things like that. And so we're partnering with Shelter House and the police department and some different folks to help us work more with our folks that are coming in that are experiencing homelessness. We're trying to build personal relationships with those folks, as well as some of our other folks that are coming in, and we're seeing folks with diminished capacity where there's confusion about them being here, and really want clear language about if people need another person to be with them. We want to have clear language about if you are in need of having a dedicated person. We don't have the staff to go around with people all day and take them to their classes. So we want to have language to say that's really important that you understand this policy is that if you need to have a worker with you or something, that's going to be the best way to navigate the senior center, because you all know our staff is this big. It's very small, and we're spread out over a very, very large building. And so we just want to, just for safety purposes, we don't want someone to get lost or end up outside in the cold and don't have a coat or something, that we make sure that we keep up with people and stuff like that. So am I missing anything? I'm just hitting the main
Along those lines of security, I have had some people just today talk to me about security. It seems that there's some kind of an element that comes on Mondays that is frightening people. And they have said to me they're not going back. Apparently, and I have not seen it myself, there's a policeman that comes on Monday?
We have a community officer. He's not coming specifically for anything. He's just coming to build some relationships with folks. So
Well, they think he's a cop. Okay, which is good.
No, he is a police officer.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's from Iowa
That's-
City.
that's
He's from
fine.
it says on his jacket that he's Iowa City Police Department. Yeah,
Okay.
so he does come. I have asked them to partner with us in just being a presence and helping and getting to know the folks that are coming in, because sometimes there are folks that are not here for other senior center things, as well as we're changing some of our policies about how Mondays work as well, to be a little clearer about the population we're trying to serve, et cetera. So we're working on those pieces too.
Well, they're happy that he's there.
Yes, we have heard that feedback as well.
That was my concern or question. I'm sure it's more than just a senior center issue. It's a city issue. And
Yeah.
we have lots more homeless people hanging around everywhere, around the library and around
Yeah.
across the
We
street.
are seeing an
Yeah.
increase. We are.
So
There's
Yeah.
more.
but yeah, I had a question. Is the police department well-resourced to have mental health type workers? Or
They
what-
do have they do have a mental health professional that is partnered with an officer who will go out to calls. And if I wanted to call them and say I would like a mental health person to come with you, they can make that happen as well. And they are partnered with Shelter House, who also has mental health professionals that will, there's a mobile
Right.
mental health clinic, mobile crisis.
I'm sure that's a tricky issue because you might have somebody who we think needs mental help, but they don't think they do.
Yeah, and and trust me, I'm very cautious about having to involve law enforcement. But given
Yeah.
that we've had some situations escalate, I have asked them to come and please, just kind of be a presence. And they're on their regular shift, so they're just coming through around the time we get kind of our busiest moment. But we will be changing some of the ways and how Mondays operate, just to ensure that
The Monday food
Yeah, it
distribution,
really will
yeah.
be that. My hope is, and this is not for sure, my hope is that we will be pushing towards serving seniors and senior center members first, and then others afterwards, to really kind of try to mitigate some of those situations. Some people at this point have been officially banned from that opportunity and can no longer come into the senior center, or will be considered trespassing. So just because we've had some different incidents that have just kind of blown out of proportion, and so we're trying to mitigate that. We have a good heart, right? It's like we know
Right.
groceries are more expensive. We want people to have access to free food and produce and different things to be able to stretch the budget, stretch their budget to be able to pay for other things. And so, our goal was to be helpful. And so when things that are helpful become problematic, then those things go away. And so I'm hoping that we come up with some sort of resource, but my last resort, which is on the table for me as a director, is to end it. Because if it's going to come down to safety of staff or safety of people participating, my last resort thing is going to be that we're not going to have a distribution site here. And I don't want it to come to that. I want people to be able to come, get food, and feel safe and that kind of thing. But unless we really are strategic about how we mitigate some of those situations over the next couple of months, I am watching intensely over the next couple of months. And if all else fails, then we end the distribution site, or we change it, or if it's making appointments or whatever, we're going to try everything we can to keep it. But if it comes down that it's not safe to do that, then that's at my discretion. People might be mad at me, but that's my job, for people to be mad at me sometimes, and I would take that. I don't want that opportunity to be lost from people. Even if it's reducing the amount of food that people can have access to, or whatever it is, we're going to try multiple things to see if we can kind of mitigate some of those situations. And we'll always keep the pantry downstairs, but it may be that we don't become a distribution site if we can't seem to get our hands kind of wrapped around that situation well. So
Do you have any advice for people like, regular members, leaders, whatever around here, about engaging people or not engaging people?
you in the building?
Yeah, but I mean,
I think if you see someone, I have made it my business to go up to people and say, "Hey, I'm sorry,"
Yeah.
and introduce myself and talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, some of them, they I have a lot of respect built with them,
Right.
and they're like, "Hey, kind of keeping me in, on what's going on." And, I've tried to build those relationships. My biggest thing with some of our folks is to say, "Hey, if you're a senior, join a class. You don't just have to be here or there or just come on Mondays. Join a class, be a part of some other things." So I'm hoping that we, with a little bit of time and some finesse, we're able to serve people well. The issue is not that we're not serving people well or that we're not making people welcome. We have an issue with not providing enough services for the people who are experiencing homelessness in our community. And with some of the issues with our state and local budget, that has kind of got us in a situation where we can't do all that we want to serve people. Shelter House has limits, and once they have to have everybody leave in the morning, people have to have some place to go. And so I think that's why we're seeing an uptick as well, is because we're a public facility, and it's not that we can just say, you can't be here. We're a public facility with public dollars, so.
maybe we should invite our governor or some of the legislators to come.
Well, I'm gonna mind my business on that.
So is the issue that you don't have enough food, so you run out of food when these?
Oh, no, we don't run out of food. We're not running out of food. No, we're not
Running out of people.
No, we're not running out of people either. No, I think what it is we need to put a limit on how much food people can take. I think we have some people who are, this is not just our issue. We're finding other distribution sites are starting to see the same issue. And I think there needs to be some information sharing. I think we need to unfortunately be government and start registering people and different things like that to really just kind of like be able to be clear about what our expectations are, really explain to people that even if you're here for distribution, our code of conduct policies are still in place. There's just some more, we're getting more volunteers, which is great, but we're just trying to mitigate some of these things. They weren't really seen. We always had table to table, but it was mostly like cakes and cookies for years. And now that we have fresh fruit and vegetables and proteins and stuff, now we're starting to see more and more people coming. But that also means that we're having people who are not normally senior center folks here in the building. And some of them are seniors, but they're also coming with different elements, and there's different pieces that we haven't had to deal with in the past. And so we're just trying to figure that out. That's all.
Has there been actual pushing and shoving and cutting in line? And
I think I've had some reports. The other piece is that we also have populations of folks who have less tolerance for people who are different. So we do have some folks who are being, I would say, I don't know how to say this, but being really, really involved in the matters that are not their own. And so we do have people that are, kind of surveillancing people and constantly reporting to us. And I'm like, they're just sitting at the table. They're not bothering anyone. So, we're dealing with that too. So we're dealing with some elements that feel like people don't deserve the space that all of our taxes pay for. And then we're dealing with some people who, and so it's like, for us, it's like, everybody just sit down and relax. Everybody gonna get some food. It's gonna be okay. There has not been a day that we ran out of food. So the thing is that we're not running out of food. I think people are afraid, and they're coming with the mind of scarcity.
Yeah.
And so they're afraid that they're not going to get something, or they're afraid that they're not going to get the best of whatever's there. And that's why we probably need to do some limits. We started limited protein just because it's such a small amount. Because if it's 5 packs of chicken and somebody comes in and they're like, I want all 5, well, then there's less protein to go. And so we're just trying to think about how we process through that, because we want people to be able to have food, because we know it's tight. Like, hey, my kids love eggs, but eggs is $4 for 12 eggs, and so that that's it. It's just the price of things are going up, and if we can provide free produce for people to keep people healthy, we want to do that. So.
Well, we wish you the best with all of that.
Thank you. I have a tendency to overexplain, so I apologize.
I mean, noticed it too myself.
Yeah.
And, but.
We'll work through it.
I'm sure, I hope you're getting good support from other city departments and attorneys or whoever has to be involved.
Well, yeah, there's definitely other people involved, and we did find out there's a city-wide committee that we've joined, and
Yeah.
we're partnering with the library. They are helping us with, because they're seeing similar populations of people
Oh, yeah.
and things, and so, but like I'm saying, the code of conduct is not just for our people experiencing housing, it's also for some
For
of our
everybody.
regular folks.
Right.
It's just, some of it is just member situations, and we just want people to be really clear about what
We
the expectation
welcome
is about
people, yeah.
when you're here. You're welcome here, but you still have to abide by the policies that we have here. So I just want to be very, very clear. Yes, we have an uptick of people experiencing homelessness, as well as we are just getting busier. We've always had higher numbers of membership. They just weren't all in the building. And lately they just been coming to the building more. So now we just have to really firm up, hey, when we're in the building, these are the expectations. And so
Some of
So
this
we'll be bringing that.
Post-COVID rebound. too.
yeah, some of it, yeah, I think so too. That might decrease a little bit with the weather, with RSV and flu and stuff kind of rising. That might kind of keep people from coming in as much, but we're used to that in the winter. So, but that's code of conduct, locker policy. So, just very quickly with locker policy, we need to increase the cost of renting a locker initially and monthly. Right now, our current locker cost is $5 a month, which is significantly lower than any other facility in the city. And it's not like we're rolling in the dough with this locker money. Okay, we're not. It's not making a big dent. But we need to change our policies about the utilization of our lockers, because what is happening is sometimes people are storing food and they're storing other things, and it's becoming malodorous. And then we have to go in sometimes. And so we want to increase it from $5 to $15. The reason why we're going to $15 a month is because if you get a locker at the rec center, it is 50 cents a day. 50 cents a day times 30 is $15 a month. The difference with our lockers is that you actually get to keep your items in there overnight, versus at the rec center, you have to remove all your items by end of day. So people are able to utilize the locker for the month for $15. And when it comes to costs, our cost here is pretty low. A membership is $40 to $75 for the year, and $15 for the month for the lockers. We feel like that's a fair amount. Some of that is coming because to replace the lock on the locker is $12. So with $15, that at least allow us to cover the costs of the lockers. And and like I said, lately we've had to do a lot more maintaining of the lockers. So that's one of those things that we probably should have raised years ago, because $5 in 2024, if we're honest, that's really a low cost for locker usage. So we want people to be able to utilize the locker if they are taking classes and different things like that. That's what the lockers are for. So that is something we are suggesting as a policy discussion. The thing about these, we will bring these policies after we've written them and gone through them. They do have to go through, do they need to go to the attorney first? We'll have to send them to the city attorney first before we send them to you all. So if we don't get it on the agenda next month, it's because there's a delay there. And then we will get it on the January 1. That needs to be looked through our city attorney. These are our suggestions. We're just having a discussion. If you all feel some type of way about the code of conduct and or the locker policy, open to discussion on what you all would like to see in that or not. But like I said, we will be presenting some information to the city attorney and then bringing it here. The cost of the locker going up, we will have to present that specifically to city council because it's an increase in price of city services. So, and I don't know how that will go, but as a director, I feel like it's the right way to go to make sure that the property is taken care of, as well as it's covering the cost of what it will cost to replace it. It's not gonna cover the cost if we have to replace the locker. That's not gonna cover it. It's way more expensive than that, but at least a deep clean or different things like that. We're concerned with things like mice and different things like that. And so that's also going to be a part of that policy, is being really clear with people about not having food and different things like that. Like, if somebody has something that day, but if it's staying in there for a while, that we're starting to get an infestation of bugs or infestation of mice, then we need to be able to go back to our policy and say, this is why you can't use our locker anymore, is because we have this policy and we said you can't do that, and that happened, and now we're trying to mitigate, because if bugs get in one, then it's going to get in other stuff, right? So we're trying to be really clear with people about what the policy is. So it's not just the price, but it's also utilization of the locker. So
Do you know how many people, what percentage, use the lockers for overnight for food storage?
we do not know that, but we do know that it does happen.
And it crosses into the homeless issue too, I think. So there are certain folks that are using them like for a Fibber McGee closet or something like that, and just keeping all their belongings in it, including food, including medicine, whatever, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if it's medicine or something like that, but we also include in the policy is things like weapons, different things like that just have not been as clearly identified in our locker policy, that we need to put in our locker policy, that we're clear about those things. So
Oh, it's challenging.
Yep. These are challenges,
Are the lockers
but we're
all
trying to address them.
They're almost all rented.
Yeah,
You may lose some
it
renters.
is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible that we might lose some folks. It's not the intention, but
I know,
it
yeah.
is.
Right.
One of these things is these two things are happening at the same time, but they're connected, but not. But like, we needed to
Right.
increase the price anyways, but then also the other parts of the policy about what can be in the locker is also
Yeah.
why we're addressing the cost and the policy usage at the same time, because they're all a part of the same policy.
Okay.
Questions, comments? Yes.
I just had another question that came up to me from where I am, and it's about an ATM. They would like to know if it's possible to get an ATM in the building.
Okay. Isn't there an ATM in City Hall?
Yeah.
Is there one here?
There's an ATM in City Hall a half a block away.
They're talking,
They want an ATM in the senior center?
yes. Not City
Doesn't
Hall.
Green State has an ATM, right? That's
I
not
mean,
too
there's-
far
Well,
away.
yes, we are surrounded by a couple of different banks, but they're talking about specifically here in the building.
Here in the building.
Having an ATM.
Yeah, they mentioned the US Bank up on the corner, but apparently a block away is too far. They didn't want it over there, they wanted it here.
In the senior center.
Yeah, well, more people
Oh,
could use it.
they didn't want to put it at Eck Towers?
They didn't want one.
They didn't want to put it at Eck Towers
In your building?
in your building?
They wanted more people to have access to it, and more people would be here.
Okay. I appreciate the suggestion. I will take it under advisement.
Well, that was a question.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I can think about it, given what we all have going on right now in our building that we're trying to face. I'm not sure I want to add that element of being able to have a financial element in the building at this time. I appreciate that as things calm down and the sun comes back around and we're not all in seasonal affective disorder, I will reconsider thinking about that. But it will be something that maybe we would look at when we do our interior design to see about what would be the appropriate place to put
And when
something like
are
that.
we looking at interior design?
Probably
26?
2025, 26. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
At-
That's gonna go over real good.
Well, that to me is in line with, can we put a swimming pool in the senior center.
Yeah.
Because it's not that it's not a small thing. It seems like a small thing, but it is a much bigger thing to ask of the senior center than, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yes,
a
I
much
do.
bigger ask. And so tell them to feel free to come see me directly and we can have a conversation about
Oh,
it.
really?
I have no problem
See
in
the
person
lady.
and saying no. But if that will help. But right at this time, I will definitely say that's not something we can do right now, but I maybe after our renovations, and we have some other things in place, it's a possibility. But as for it being next week or next month or any of that, that is not something I can take on.
Not gonna happen.
I can't put that on staff right now. I can't put that on myself right now. I have enough on my own plate. It's a good idea. I understand it, but knowing that there is an ATM within a block of
Either way.
either way, City Hall is less than a block. The bank is. It just doesn't make sense
Just
to
right
have.
up the hill.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have one here at the senior center. That's just not something
I
that
think I would
Well, that's the
argue
point.
against
That's
it.
right
Yeah.
there. That's the point.
It doesn't make sense to have another ATM in less than a block away from you.
And I think we have a vulnerable population here, and there's a potential for
I just.
people getting ripped off or
I
whatever.
just,
Use-
yeah. It's not something that I'm willing to take on at this time. Like I said, after some renovations, if we find that is more appropriate or there's a place for that, then I can reconsider. But at this time, it's definitely something I have to politely say we have to decline that request at this time.
So it's a slippery slope. First you get an ATM, then you get a slot machine.
I mean, after that slot machine, we get a bank, get a banker, a teller, right? No, I'm not
Casino.
sure. Yeah, casino in the lobby sounds great. A little poker challenge. So yeah, I just think that is not a terrible idea. It's just not good timing for it right now.
Got it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have an idea. I use the gyms in places I don't have a locker.
Mm-hmm.
Then I take a plastic bag, and put all my stuff in that. So do you have a place for people to just store all their belongings, that the street clothes, while they're changed into athletic clothes?
Mm-hmm. And those are free. People are able to utilize that. We have
There's
that.
free lockers inside the fitness center.
Yep.
Oh,
You can use them
Yeah,
while you're
those are
in there.
free for people to use. This is about storage and people storing
People
personal
keeping their stuff.
items
It's like another room.
for a whole month or a couple.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are paying for a whole year. And we haven't seen them all year, but they're paying to just store things here at the senior center. And so, we just gotta update that policy to really
That's a
talk about
challenge,
that.
yeah.
It's a challenge. We're trying to work through it. We need you
Yeah.
all's help in helping us work through it. We want to make good decisions for people. It's a challenge. It is a challenge. Some of it is the financial piece. Like we have to be more than $5 a month, just because budget. We don't want to have to start cutting services. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind if we increase the price a little bit that we can maintain our services. But the city and different people, we're in a financial crunch. And so this is not about to put a dent in anything. $15 a month is not about to help our budget at all. It's just more so that we can get up to par with other facilities around the community of being able to utilize lockers. So
Okey doke. Senior Center Master Plan discussion, we've already had quite a bit of that.
quite a bit, yeah, I would say. I think we've covered.
Anybody, any other questions about that? Okay, and now we have a appointment of a new member, and we have an application
Yep.
from Mary McCall,
Yep.
and so she has applied to be a member.
Yep.
And she's
It's the only
getting,
one we got.
It's the only one we got.
she's
So.
being vetted by the city right now.
Yeah, she already has been vetted.
Oh,
That
she's-
came
cool.
from them, yeah. Because you all are the ones that have to appoint her. The
Oh,
city
okay.
council doesn't appoint
So she's
her.
been through all the ropes or
Yeah,
whatever.
she's been through the ropes.
Okay.
I can say a little bit about Mary. Mary came here to the Iowa City area a couple years ago, and just came in and just has been a fantastic volunteer. She's a deaf doula, so she's taught a lot of our deaf doula classes. She's a volunteer at our North Liberty sites. So she obviously lives out in that area, so that's why she can't apply as a Iowa City
Oh, so
person
she
to
would be
be.
the at.
She would be the
replace Angie.
at-large, yeah, she
Yes.
replaced Angie, yep. So we do need that role filled, and she's the only one that applied. If you know others that want to, we have one other position that will be available. If people want to apply, they can go ahead up and apply, and it would show up not on the next, maybe the, I don't know when the next city council meeting is, but they can just go on City of Iowa City website and look up boards and commissions and can apply. And then that goes through them, and then they send it to us, and then we do
So
orientation.
if somebody expresses an interest to me, I can help them go to,
Yeah. The same way you went through that process would be the same.
can't even remember.
Yeah, just go to the city website, look for
Okay.
boards and commissions,
sure.
and it's just a general
Sure, I'm capable.
application.
We're all
and-
capable.
Yes, we all did it. You all did it. That's how you got here. So you got to help somebody else to do it.
Okay.
And then they can go on the city website and be able to apply that way. And then city council would be the ones that would appoint them, and then we would do the orientation, and they would
I
join
walked
us.
into City Hall and they just handed me.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, you can do that too. They
You
definitely
can
have
get a
that.
hard copy.
Yeah, you get a hard copy, and
Right there.
All
yeah,
right, that's maybe the way to go.
yep.
Okay, so I know Mary. I've been to some of her things. She does advanced directive planning with people. She does looking at your long-term health care and housing options and all those sorts of things. So, and her husband leads some film discussions, and he's doing a class on movies of the 50s right now. And my wife and I are taking that. We love it. So I'm gonna entertain a motion to accept Mary as, have you met her, all of you, maybe?
I've never met her.
Okay. So, I think I would second your high recommendation. And so I'll entertain a motion to accept Mary McCall as the new at-large Johnson County member.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Wow.
Second.
We got 2 seconds here. Second and a third. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. So-
Okay, we will reach out to her. Do you want to send her a note? Just because I know.
All
Yeah,
righty. Commissioners' report of community correspondence. We've had a couple of those
Already,
floating around.
yep.
Did anybody else get letters or suggestions or anything from folks? Okay, we'll move on. Future agenda items. What would you like to see us talk about around the table here? I'm still going to plug. Last month's minutes said Heather is being
oh,
considered.
that's right.
So I would suggest we put her on the agenda.
Yes.
I would suggest we put that lady.
Oh, Kristen? Oh, yeah, Kristen was
Her name was
supposed
on
to
the tip of
do.
my tongue. Kristen on the agenda. I think Brad might be a good one to, you know,
okay.
he's doing some good services
Yep.
here, just so we get a picture of the staff, you know, and what all they do, and help us to broaden our understanding and be a good liaison with members and the community.
Great.
Any other suggestions about future agenda?
I would like to see the agenda before the meeting. How is that possible?
Well, we send it out in an email. I know we talked about that yesterday. So if you don't have an email option, then we can print you out one.
Yeah.
That would be it. That would be fine.
Do we post it anywhere?
The agenda gets posted downstairs, and then it's also on the city website. Goes out again as if you get the city's newsletters, that would be another way as well. But they do send it directly. So if you get a different email address or however you want to do that, Warren, then you would be getting them automatically that way.
But it is posted here in the building, right?
The
So
whole
is it-
packet isn't just the agenda.
The agenda is posted here in the building on the
First.
first floor. So,
But if you wanted to go pick up the agenda, you could get a copy of it, and you could ask for a copy of the minutes.
yeah, we can print it out for you.
Somebody could print it out at the
We
desk.
can figure
Sure.
that out.
So I think that's my suggestion, is go to the front desk and ask for it. If you haven't seen it in your email.
Well, I'm having issues with my email at this point.
I see.
tried to get it resolved yesterday. Still dealing with it.
Maybe you need an appointment with Brad. You know him?
Yeah, well, I know of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Yeah,
they can
Brad,
make an appointment
yeah.
downstairs with you and him. And then there's also, is Alex still doing,
On Friday?
You know,
I
I
don't know.
am not 100% sure, but there's device advice on
Thursdays
Thursdays.
at 1.
Thursdays? Okay.
They were here
Students
today. The
come-
students were here today at 1.
1
I think
o'clock,
Brad is
students
a
come
great
and give advice on your computer and your phone and stuff.
Yeah. I would check with Brad. I would go to the front desk, make an appointment with Brad, and then he's really great at working with people to try to help solve that. And it may be that you create a new email until that one gets fixed, so that you can at least get some information to then. So.
It's a matter of buildup, and it's
You have-
not easy to
Storage. You have
Out
to.
your inbox.
Yeah, your inbox is too full.
even
and
though
now-
I cleaned it out.
Yeah,
Still-
I have that problem too because Gmail's like you're not getting nothing else until you pay for more storage or you delete some stuff. So
You use
I
Gmail?
understand.
Yeah.
Well, knowing that you were a photographer, I'm sure you have a bunch of emails with way too many
Photos.
pictures in it, and that's what's eating
Well,
up your storage.
It does eat up space.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think Brad's your man
Yeah,
for that. kind
help
of
you
thing.
mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Adjourn. Shall we do that?
Absolutely.
So adjourn.
So
Is that a
adjourn.
unanimous?
Yeah, I don't even think we have to vote for that.